Kylie's grin was the kind that made Dennis uneasy before she even spoke. "Hey there," she teased, voice light and lilting. "You're looking kinda cute. Have you considered subscribing? Let's have some fun." She tossed something pink toward him, and Dennis caught it awkwardly, frowning down at the matching bra and panties in his hands. "A bra? Really?" he muttered. "I don't know," Kylie said, her smile sharpening into a smirk. "Is keeping those pictures a secret really necessary?" Dennis sighed the long, defeated sigh of someone who knew the game was rigged before it began. "Turn around," he said. Kylie turned, still smirking, as Dennis let the robe slide from his shoulders. He wrestled the bra straps like they were live wires, fumbling, tugging, cursing under his breath, but eventually managed to fasten it. The panties were worse. He stared at them, then at Kylie's reflection in the mirror, and muttered something halfway between a plea and an insult before forcing himself into them. They didn't fit comfortably, but they fit enough. "Happy?" he asked bitterly. "Immensely," Kylie said, her satisfaction almost glowing. "Now let's see. I like this dress, but this skirt is cute too." She spun toward her closet, humming, pulling out colors and fabrics like a magician with scarves. Dennis stood there, half-dressed, awkward, the padded bra feeling absurd against his chest. Finally, she held out a small bundle. "Okay, got your outfit." Dennis lifted it, a white tank top and a skirt with tiny, multicolored flowers. He grumbled but obeyed, slipping into the clothes while pretending to complain more than he really felt. He'd been braced for sequins and bows. This almost felt merciful. Once dressed, he squirmed under her gaze. "Almost done," Kylie said, already reaching for socks to stuff into the bra. "Perfect. Now sit." He sank into the chair at her vanity, defeated but curious. Despite himself, Kylie's blow-dryer hummed to life, and strands of his damp hair lifted under her skilled hands. Dennis watched in the mirror, hesitant admiration creeping through the embarrassment. His hair, normally tied back and ignored, softened, shone, and framed his face differently. "You've got really nice hair," Kylie murmured. "It's a shame you keep it tied up all the time." "I guess," he said, surprised at how true that sounded. "Okay," she said suddenly, eyes gleaming. "Now for the fun part." He knew that tone. He'd heard it right before every regrettable decision of their shared childhood. Makeover time. He opened his mouth to protest, then stopped. It wasn't worth it. The sooner she got it out of her system, the sooner it'd be over. Gloss, blush, mascara. Her hands moved fast, confident. His reflection changed again. He looked not ridiculous, not exactly, just different, softer, like someone else entirely, someone he half recognized. "Wow," Kylie said. "You actually look kinda—" "Don't say it," Dennis interrupted. "Pretty," she finished anyway, smirking. He rolled his eyes, but his stomach twisted, because part of him wondered if she was right. "One last thing," Kylie said, pulling out tweezers. Dennis immediately tensed. "No, you said nothing permanent." "I'm just cleaning up the strays," she said. "Unless you're growing a unibrow on purpose." He leaned closer to the mirror and saw what she meant. Stray hairs he'd never noticed now seemed glaringly obvious. Fine, just the stray ones. Kylie got to work, confident, too confident. A pinch here, a pull there, and then, "Oops." "Oops?" Dennis snapped, jerking back. "Don't worry, it looks fine," she said too quickly. He pushed past her and stared at the mirror, his eyebrows neat, narrow, distinctly feminine. "What the hell, Kylie?" "It was a mistake," she said, wincing. "If anyone notices, I'll say I did it as a prank while you were asleep. It's fine, it's fine." "It's not fine." "Oh, relax." She waved a hand, pulling out her phone. "Even if it wasn't a mistake, you're in no position to argue." That word, position, stung. He slumped into the chair again, anger simmering but powerless under her grin. "Now, accessories." She dangled jewelry in front of him, a ring, some bracelets, a necklace with a pink crystal heart. "Girly," he muttered, "but fine." She fastened the necklace around his neck just as he caught her reflection taking a photo. "Delete that!" he snapped. "Smile," she teased. "You look adorable." You're gonna pose," she said, cutting him off, already planning her next shot. "But not in here. The lighting's terrible." He froze. "Outside? You're kidding." "I think natural light will bring out your everything," she said with a smirk. "No one's seeing me like this." "As long as you cooperate, no one will," she said sweetly. "But if you don't—" He didn't need her to finish. "Shoes," she said, holding out a pair of pink open-toed heels. "Heels? They match, plus they show off your pretty toenails." Dennis glared, but his resistance was paper-thin now. He slipped them on, wobbling a little before getting the hang of the height. Step by step, he followed her downstairs, clutching the banister like a lifeline. The backyard sunlight hit him like a spotlight. The air felt heavier, more exposing. He glanced around. No neighbors in sight, thank God, and stepped onto the patio. "You should feel lucky," Kylie said cheerfully. "The grass is wet, so we're staying on the pavement." "Small mercies," he muttered. For several minutes, she directed him like a photographer in charge of her favorite model. "Tilt your chin, hold the hem of the skirt, smile." "I'd be more inclined to smile if I wasn't being blackmailed," he grumbled. "Oh, stop whining, you look great." "How long is this going to go on?" "I don't know," she said casually. "Until the internet's back, maybe, or until I get bored." He threw up his hands. "You made me shave, plucked my eyebrows, painted my nails, dressed me up like this, and you think this is funny?" "I think it's fun," she said simply. "It's fun to have a sister to hang out with for once. Way better than a brother who never leaves his room." That landed harder than she meant. The word slipped out with the faintest trace of sadness. Dennis blinked. "Wait, that's what this is about?" She looked away. "You never want to do anything with me. I figured you'd say no if I asked." "You didn't need to blackmail me," he shouted, frustration spilling over. "You think humiliating me is how siblings bond?" "I just wanted to have fun," she said softly. "I wasn't really going to post the pictures." He froze. Her voice had cracked. She wasn't bluffing now. "Kylie." But she was already crying, whispering, "I'll delete them. You can change back," before running inside. He tried to follow, but nearly tripped on the heels, cursing under his breath as he kicked them off and rubbed his sore feet. The silence that followed was heavier than any threat. He sat for a moment, the makeup still on his face, the necklace cold against his skin. For the first time, he really thought about her, about how long it had been since they'd actually spent time together, not just passing words over dinner, not casual hellos. Real time. He stood slowly and made his way upstairs. Kylie's door was half closed. He knocked gently. "Hey, can we talk?" "Go away," came the muffled reply. "That's what you wanted, right?" "Kylie, come on, leave me alone." He hesitated, then spoke through the door. "I'm sorry I yelled. I was mad, but I get it now. I wasn't a great brother lately. You just wanted to spend time with me, and I didn't see it." The door cracked open a little. Her eyes were red. "You're just saying that to make me feel better," she muttered. "I'm not. Look, I didn't hate everything today. The pedicure yesterday, that actually felt kind of nice." He smiled awkwardly. "Maybe next time, just skip the pink polish." A tiny laugh slipped out of her. Despite herself, he grinned. "You said you had more stuff planned. What was next?" Her lips curved into the faintest, genuine smile. "You really want to know?" He nodded. "Okay," she said softly, "but it's kind of a surprise." And for the first time that day, the tension between them eased, not erased, but shifted. Something real replacing the game that had started it all outside. The wind rustled the leaves, and for once Dennis didn't mind how his hair moved with it. Kylie's room smelled faintly of vanilla lotion and hairspray, a scent Dennis had never noticed before today, but now somehow found comforting. He lingered just inside the doorway, unsure if he was still an intruder or if she'd really forgiven him. Kylie had turned back toward her vanity, pretending to fix something, though her eyes were still swollen from crying. The silence between them was fragile, a thin film stretched across their shared guilt. Dennis shifted awkwardly, tugging at the hem of his blouse, aware of the soft fabric brushing his arms, of how alien but strangely light it felt. The heels were gone, replaced by bare feet against the carpet, grounding him in a space that didn't feel so threatening anymore. "You really don't have to do this," she murmured without looking at him. "You can change back. I'll delete everything." Her voice had none of its usual teasing lilt now, just quiet exhaustion. "I don't want to," he said after a moment. She turned, blinking in surprise, and Dennis gave a small, uncertain shrug. "Not yet, anyway. You went through a lot of trouble with the hair and makeup. It'd be rude to waste it, right?" A weak smile tugged at her mouth. "So what, you're just embracing your inner diva now?" "I wouldn't go that far," he replied, and for the first time all day, his tone wasn't sharp. "But maybe I could stand to learn something from you. You actually put effort into this stuff. You care about how you look. I've been too busy hiding in my room to care about anything." Kylie turned the vanity chair around fully this time, curiosity flickering across her face. "You're serious?" Dennis nodded. "Serious enough. I mean, you weren't wrong earlier. I do spend too much time on my games. I didn't think it mattered, but maybe it does." For a while, she just studied him, the soft light from her mirror catching the faint shimmer of gloss still on his lips. "You know," she said finally, "I wasn't trying to be mean. I just wanted to hang out. It's hard to get your attention, Dennis." "I know," he said, and he really did. The guilt felt different now, not defensive, not bitter, just quietly real. "I thought you wouldn't like the stuff I like, but maybe I never gave you a chance to show me otherwise." Kylie tilted her head, studying the strange, vulnerable version of her brother sitting before her. "So," she said cautiously, "does this mean you'll do a face mask with me?" Dennis hesitated for a half-second before letting out a soft laugh. "Yeah, why not? Just maybe skip the glittery one." She laughed, and it was the first genuine sound between them in hours. Deal. It didn't take long for her to gather the supplies, a tray of colorful tubes, brushes, and a couple of headbands with cat ears that she wore for skincare routines. Dennis raised an eyebrow at them but didn't argue as she stretched one over his head, pushing back his newly straightened hair. "You look ridiculous," she said through a grin, smearing the cool paste over his face. "You're one to talk," he shot back, and they both laughed again, tension dissolving completely this time. The house felt lighter, warmer, like the echo of their parents' laughter from long ago had returned to fill the walls. They sat side by side on her bed, waiting for the masks to dry, talking in the easy rhythm that only siblings who've rediscovered each other can manage. They talked about her friends, about how stressful high school had been lately, about the way Dennis sometimes felt stuck between growing up and staying the same. She confessed she'd always been a little jealous that he seemed to have something he loved, his games, even if it pulled him away. He admitted that sometimes, when he played too long, it was because the world outside his monitor felt harder to handle. Neither tried to fix the other. They just listened. It was enough. When the masks had dried and cracked, they rinsed off together at the bathroom sink, giggling at the sight of green and pink streaks running down their faces. By the time they finished, they were both lighter somehow, like the masks had peeled off more than just clay. Kylie had another idea brewing. Dennis could see it forming in her grin as she grabbed 2 bottles of nail polish from the vanity. "Matching manicures?" she asked with mock innocence. "You're not going to let me out of this, are you?" "Not a chance." So they painted, her brushing careful strokes of soft pink over her nails, while Dennis awkwardly mimicked her. When he smudged one finger, she reached over without teasing and fixed it, concentrating like a surgeon. The act, so small and silly, felt more intimate than anything that had come before. When they finished, they admired the results, her nails gleaming, his uneven but bright. "There," she said proudly. "Now you look like you belong on my side of the closet." "Maybe," he said, holding his hands up to the light, "but I'm still keeping the controller." "Fair," she replied, and he could tell she meant it as more than a joke. The doorbell interrupted them, a sharp sound that broke the spell of their bubble. Kylie jumped up first. "I'll get it," she said, darting out of the room before Dennis could protest. He hesitated, the skirt swishing faintly around his legs as he followed her downstairs. At the door stood a man in a uniform holding a cardboard box. "I'm from the ISP," he said politely. "Got a call about your router, replacement delivery." The logo on his shirt gleamed under the porch light. "Oh, right," Kylie said, waving him in. "Thanks for coming so fast." She glanced back. "Denise, show him where the router is." Dennis froze mid-step. Denise. The word hit like a spark. Instinctive embarrassment, immediate panic, but the man only smiled kindly and nodded. "Sure thing, young ladies." Dennis led him to the living room, cheeks burning but saying nothing. By the time the technician finished his work and the little green light blinked back to life on the router, his nerves had mostly settled. "That should do it," the man said, jotting something on his clipboard. "Have a good day, girls." Girls. Again. When the door closed, Kylie burst out laughing. Dennis stared at her, stunned, and then, against every instinct, he laughed too. Something about the absurdity of it all, the sheer ridiculousness of his situation, was suddenly hilarious. "Guess you're convincing," she said between giggles. "Guess so," he admitted. "Maybe too convincing." The laughter faded into an easy silence, both of them smiling as if some long-standing weight had lifted. Kylie disappeared into the kitchen for a moment, and when she returned, Dennis was gone. She didn't need to wonder where. She already knew. She bounded up the stairs 2 at a time and found him exactly as she expected, perched on the edge of his bed, powering on his console. "The internet's back," he said, unable to hide the joy in his voice. "Finally. I figured. I'm gonna destroy that level that's been driving me crazy," he continued, the familiar spark of focus in his eyes. "Oh, and I guess I'll change out of this stuff now." He stopped mid-sentence when he saw her face. She was smiling, but there was a flicker of sadness there, almost too subtle to catch. He understood instantly. "I could," he said slowly, glancing down at the blouse and shorts she'd picked for him earlier. "But honestly, this is way more comfortable than that skirt and heels. I don't mind staying like this for a bit." Kylie's smile brightened just enough. "You mean that?" "Yeah," he said, then gestured to the space beside him. "You mentioned face masks and a rom-com earlier, right? We could do that after I finish this level." Her eyebrows lifted. Or, she said, stepping closer. "You could teach me how to play instead." He stared at her for a moment, then grinned. "You want to be my player too?" She nodded. "If you'll let me." He handed her the controller without hesitation. "Nothing would make me happier, bro," she said, laughing softly as she took it. "Same here, sis," he replied, nudging her shoulder. They sat together on the floor, their matching pink nails flashing under the TV's glow. The room filled with the familiar sounds of clicks and chimes, the rhythm of a game Dennis had played alone hundreds of times before. But tonight, it was different. Kylie laughed at her own clumsy mistakes. Dennis teased her for missing an easy jump, and in those moments, the air between them changed. No blackmail, no guilt, just laughter and shared discovery. 2 halves of the same story, finally learning how to meet in the middle. Hours slipped by unnoticed. The house was quiet except for their laughter and the muffled hum of the console. The sky outside shifted from gold to deep indigo, and by the time they reached the end of the level, both of them were leaning against each other, half asleep and smiling. When the credits rolled, Kylie yawned. "You're pretty good at this," she murmured. "Told you," he said, stretching. "You're not bad either. You just panic too much when the boss fights start." She nudged him. "You panic when I pick your outfits, so we're even." He laughed softly, tilting his head toward her. "Fair point." They sat there a while longer, The glow of the screen fading as the console slipped into standby, Kylie traced a finger over the pink polish on her nails, thoughtful. "You know," she said finally, "I think this might be the first time we've actually hung out for more than an hour in, like, a year." "Maybe," he said. "Feels like longer." "Then let's not wait another year," she said quietly, "even if it's just dumb stuff like this. Promise?" "Promise," he said, and for the first time, he meant it without hesitation. They both sat in silence after that, not awkward but comfortable. The kind of silence that doesn't need filling. Dennis looked at her, really looked, and realized that somewhere between the teasing and the fights, his little sister had grown up. Maybe he had too. Later, after Kylie went to bed, Dennis stood before the mirror one last time. The faint shimmer of gloss still lingered on his lips, the remnants of mascara framing his eyes, his hair straight and smooth. He hardly recognized the person staring back, but he didn't hate the reflection either. Maybe, he thought, this was what change looked like. Awkward, unexpected, and oddly freeing. He wiped away the last of the makeup with a tissue, smiling faintly as he did. Down the hall, he could hear Kylie humming something soft and happy. The house, for the first time in a long while, felt alive again. And when he finally sat down to play another round, a second controller waited beside him on the couch, ready for whenever his sister decided to join.